And you can live in that same sort of large story. But here's the problem. You and I get caught up too often in the smaller stories. But if you trust in the larger one, you will discover not only does it shift your perspective, it changes how you see yourself, it changes how you see the world, and that you can see that in the world, God can do more in you and more in this world than you could ever imagine. And it not only works for people, it even works for churches. See, when this pandemic first hit, we have a pretty large learning center across our street. And we had to shut down that learning center to in-person learning. Try to figure out what virtual looked like, as we had to do here. But our church told ourselves a bigger story. And in that bigger story, we said these teachers are part of our family, and we will not walk away from them even in these days. And we laid off no one. And then we went to the families and said, we will find a way to be there for you. And if you can't pay, that's okay. We will not shut the door to learning in these virtual days. Why? It's because we trusted that if we did right by those that God had entrusted to us, then God would do right by us too. It's not only did that lead us to continue our programs, it led us to go in partnership with another church in Hollywood Hills and open up a whole new campus to reach even more families with that ministry. Because we said, if we are faithful in doing what God calls us to do, then we trust that God will be faithful to us. And God was. This past year, our church had the largest annual surplus in its almost century-long history. Some of you can tell you that most years we didn't even have a surplus, much less a huge one. But why? It's because when you trust in the bigger story, God can work in more amazing ways than you can imagine. Yet too often, as I said, you and I get caught up in the smaller story. We get caught up in cathartic complaining, and then we get discouraged and we lose hope. But there's always a bigger story.